Welcome to the Mr. Phelps Show! Thank you guys, thank you, I really appreciate it, thank you, everyone. Glad to be here, got my coffee, got my notes, this cheering, this music, it never gets old. I mean, I'm glad to have you all here, episode 4 of Mr. Phelps Show. Glad to have you, we're gonna have some fun today. Alright class, alright. I'm getting right to the chase today because we got a lot on schedule, as usual. Today, before I start, I'll kind of tell you how things are going to go. So first, we're going to look at grade 10, because I haven't looked at them first, and we are going to have a Roman debate, the Conspirators versus the Caesarites, as I call them. Big debate today. It's going to take so much fun. Then we're going to have English 9. Go 10, 9, 11. 9, we're going to talk about what we're doing in class. Got something special at the end. And English 11 we'll do next. And got something special at the end. My activity at the end combines English 9 and English 11, amazingly. Anyway, let's get to the chase. I don't want to take any more time talking because we got a lot. English 10. English 10. This week you will be reading Act 2 of Julius Caesar. You will have a similar worksheet to the one you did previously. And in that worksheet you're going to fill it out. That's going to be what you have for the week. I'm also going to give you a quiz at some point, probably closer to the end of the week. Might get it out earlier. It's going to probably be a journal type question that you're going to answer that has to do with Acts 1 and 2. So look forward to that. It's just going to evaluate Acts 1 and 2, journal question. That's pretty much it. Reading, Act 2, and don't forget, I always have, in the documents, I post the reading on Spark Notes, the No Fear Shakespeare for Julius Caesar, and I also post a link to the videos for Julius Caesar, the Course Hero videos. So you could look at both of those to help you. And there's also a resource on the Library Media website if you want to access the full text there. So keep moving along. Act 2, like I said, quiz probably end of this week. Maybe, might even be earlier, as early as I can get it out. So look forward to that. With that being said, we got a big debate coming up in a bit. I'll switch off to English. Did I say 9 next? English 9. So, and we'll come back to English 10 at the end with the debate. So, English 9. Alright, so English 9. We are going to have a big project this week with Romeo and Juliet and Disney. You started this past week comparing one Disney movie to Romeo and Juliet, since there's so many similarities. And I gave you a choice. There were about 8 choices. Or you could do your own if you ran it by me. As you can see, there's a lot of similarities to Disney, which is really cool and crafty because that's how we can, think of Romeo and Juliet, kind of modernize it, connect it to something we did today. So I'm going to show you here what you're going to be doing this week. You're going to be reading Act 4 and answering questions like we did every week. So that's your reading assignment. Again, the videos are posted. You also have the reading on No Fear Shakespeare for Romeo and Juliet. And then you have a big project that I'm going to give you 2 weeks to do. It's going to be a slides presentation where you take your Disney film, compare it to Romeo and Juliet, and you are going to first introduce both stories in the first couple slides. Then you're going to tell how they're similar while using a quote from Romeo and Juliet for each reason they're similar. And then you're going to talk about how the Disney version makes the Romeo and Juliet story happier. Because if you know, as you're going to see in your homework this week, I have a question about Disney on it. Now, you can't really find that anywhere. You got to kind of have knowledge on it, and hopefully you're watching this. Basically, Disney, it's not technically a comedy in the in the play format that Shakespeare uses, but it is similar to a comedy in that it has a happy ending. It usually always has a happy ending. I don't know a Disney movie that doesn't have a happy ending. We know Romeo and Juliet. We know how that story ends. Sad story. Well, Disney movies make it better. Sometimes they have an unrealistic view of what a happy story is. Like they'll give you, you always hear the American dream, Disney dream. It's something you can't reach for. Like the princess always finding the prince and falling in love. Doesn't always work that way. But with Disney, they make it work that way. Okay? That's why it's fictional. But that's what they do. They make a happy ending out of whatever story it is. So even the stories they've used in the past, Cinderella, Snow White, a lot of those stories, the original versions by the Grimm brothers, are pretty gruesome stories and have pretty gruesome endings. Even if the good character ends out good, there's still a lot of things that happen that are pretty gruesome. Like Cinderella, the stepsisters, they get their eyes pecked out by birds, I believe, or something along those lines. It's been a while since I read it. Pretty gruesome. She also gets a bloody foot from trying to fit into the slipper, which doesn't happen in the Disney version. So as you can see, Disney takes these stories and makes them better. What I like to call euphemism. Okay, euphemism is using a better word or making something better than it actually is. Disney is notorious for doing that. You could use notorious, you could say it's a good thing. However you feel about it, whether it's unrealistic or not, Disney makes a happy ending out of all of their stories. Okay, they usually borrow stories from somebody like Grimm's fairy tale or even Romeo and Juliet. They didn't borrow that story, but they used parts of it, and they make a happy story out of it. That's Disney. So that's what we're going to do with the project. We look at the tragedy part in the beginning of Romeo and Juliet, how that's a tragedy, defining a tragedy, because that's what we're learning about. And then we're going to look at the Disney film and see how it's made happier through a different scope, or taking the parts from Romeo and Juliet that are in the film and making them happier. All right? So that's basically that. You're going to have 2 weeks to do that project. To move pretty quickly. I think a lot of you are enjoying that, looking to see how the Disney film relates. So it'll be a good assignment for you guys to do and have fun with. And moving right along, we're almost done with Romeo and Juliet. We'll have this week, and next week we'll likely finish this off. So with that being said, let's go to English 11. So I know this past week you had a project that should be done or just about done, getting there. For some of you who might be doing it a little bit later, I know a lot of you waited till the second week to start it, which might not have been the greatest idea for everybody, because I assigned it for 2 weeks for a reason, but in any case, you're almost done. I know that's probably something you guys have never done before, and I wanted to do that project because I believe that not only do you need to respond to literature, you need to connect to literature. You need to have this kind of relationship to literature. Find literature in your world. I feel it's so important to do that. Most people want to respond to literature and tell me what happened, analyze literature, but I think it's so important to respond to literature in your world. And that's why I gave you that assignment. I think it's so important to make connections to literature. That's really how you understand literature in our world. Anyway, moving on. So that assignment should be done. This week you're going to read Chapter 9, the final chapter of The Great Gatsby. We're just about done with this book. Reading the final chapter, you're going to get a homework assignment. This one's going to include a journal, an important journal that This one you will respond to literature and answer the question. And alongside that, we are going to just plan for your essay. Okay, I'm going to give you a document that's going to do it piece by piece for you. So the first piece that you need to do is come up with an idea. I throw a bunch of ideas out for you. I want you to look at your resources you have. Think about some of these ideas. I have some boxes for you to fill out. And then I want you to ultimately come up with a claim for what you want your paper to be about. Now you can change it, but you have to complete the assignment this week so I have an idea of what you're looking at, and you're going to come up with a claim. Also in that document, it's actually dated later, the second part. There's another assignment where you're going to find a source online of your own, because I am requiring you to use one external source for this paper, which could be any of the articles we've used. Those are fair game. But I'm also having you find a source on your own because I want to see how you can find a source other than Spark Notes, eNotes. I give you a list of sources to look at. You're going to look for your own source, evaluate your own source, and tell me how you can use this source in your paper if you do choose to use that source. So that won't be due until the rough draft is due, but I want to get it on your radar for those who want to start early and get that source done. By all means. Today, this week, what you are required to do is Chapter 9, The Great Gatsby, reading, and then the first 2 pages of that document where you plan your paper out and come up with a claim and brainstorm some ideas. So those are your 2 assignments. The one where you find a source is going to be due the following week along with the rough draft following week. So you're going to have until May 15th to write the essay. That's a good 2 weeks. More if you start this week, but good 2 weeks. We're going to kind of do it piece by piece. This week you're brainstorming. Next week you're going to write me 3 paragraphs minimum. You can write more. And then the following week you're going to finish the final draft. So you have brainstorming, rough draft of 3 paragraphs, final draft. So we piece it kind of together. I'm going to help you along the way. I made those checkpoints for a reason, so I can not only move you along, but also assess you as we're going along with the essay. And of course, those mini assignments, I put dates on them, so keep careful attention to those dates. And any questions, email me, should be good. But that's what we are doing today. So, other than that, stay tuned for more, because at the end of the video, I'm going to talk about a topic that is dear to me, where I compare 3 different movies, and this is English 9 too. I compare Romeo and Juliet, The Great Gatsby, and Titanic, which, by the way, all have the same main actor in them, which is pretty unique, and we're going to talk about that at the end of this video. So if you do choose to write your paper about how The Great Gatsby is like Titanic, you'll have some ideas to run with, because honestly, that's what I wrote my paper about, because I tried to find something interesting that fit with me, and that's what I want you to do. Find something interesting that relates to you, and write the paper about it. I found the comparisons between Great Gatsby and Titanic so interesting that I just had to write about it. Maybe you're not the same way, but choose a topic you like, you know? Choose something you want to write about, or that if you don't want to write about, you at least have a strong feeling you could write about it and that you like the topic. I choose something like that, because it's going to be so much easier to write. You're going to be so much more enthusiastic about it, and it's going to come out better. All right? That being said, we got a big presidential debate, and then later on we are going to look into an analysis of those 3 movies. All right? So let me say bye for now. I'll tune in a bit, but we got a big debate coming up next. Thank you. Hello all, I welcome you to the debate for Rome. Today we are going to hold an election for the fate of Rome. The tension is hot. We are right before the Ides of March, and there's rumor that some people are turning against Julius Caesar, and we need to see how this plays out. And how we're going to do that, dun-dun-dun, is a debate. So, in the rise of Julius Caesar, we see that the nation of Rome is forever divided. We have the Caesarites, and we have the Conspirators. And the debate is much more than just a debate. This debate is not just to determine the election and who will rule Rome, but it's to determine the whole fate of Rome. Supporting the Republic will be our fellow Cassius. He will be on this side of the debate stage. He will see to it and give you his points momentarily. And then, sitting in our chair here, will be Mark Antony, who will be a Caesarite supporting the monarchy and Caesar. So, let's get to it.
Here comes Gaius Cassius in his fluttering silver cloak. And here comes Mark Antony in his wavering blue.
I forgot to mention, tonight's debate winner will win an all-expense, free paid trip to the Gatsby Mansion Renaissance Night! Dun 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 dun! Alright, each debater is allowed opening remarks. 2 minutes, nothing more. Cassius first, Antony second. Let's go. Hello, my fellow citizens. My name is Cassius, and I am here in your support for Rome as a republic. As you know, Caesar has won some big battles for Rome, and he's taking over Rome. I don't think this is the right choice for our government. I mean, we've been successful as a republic for so many years until Caesar came and took that away from us. Now, if you let Caesar be our ruler, you will be in trouble. You won't have rights. Okay? He'll take them away from us. He's going to do what's in the interest of himself. And to rule Rome, he wants power. He's very power hungry. And he's going to use that power just for conquest. Not to help us succeed as people, but for conquest. We need somebody who will be there for us, who will give us rights. We should have a choice in who we need to vote for, just like what a republic does. And Caesar, you're not going to get that choice. He's going to take that away from you. Just like he blamed those poor countrymen for taking down his ornaments, and he banished them. And the fact that he was very persistent with the crown and denied it 3 times, he was putting on a show for us, telling us that he's greedy with power. We have to be careful about the direction Rome is coming in. This is crucial. That's why I need your vote. If you want to have a say in it, vote for me, Cassius, and the Republic. Because if you don't, Rome will fall apart. It will fall apart. And who knows what could happen next. Caesar could be on top and could fall apart. And honestly, Caesar has had some weak moments. I know from personal account. He's had some weak moments. And if he runs the Republic as this strong man that we think he is, and he falters, then what? Then what? My name is Cassius. Please vote for Rome as a republic. Hello, my name is Mark Antony, and I am in support of Caesar and Rome as an empire. Right now, Rome is at a very pinnacle moment in its time. Caesar has shown us how powerful he can be. He's defeated Pompey and has won big battles. And right now we are at our height. And we need to continue to be powerful. The powerful nation we are under Caesar. Okay? If we go to a republic, as Cassius wishes, there's always a chance our government could flake and we could fall apart. But Caesar, he's shown he's powerful. He's defeated Pompey. He's put us on top as a nation. He's building an empire. We need that strength to continue. Now I know Cassius will say that Caesar has had his weak moments. Haven't we all? But right now, Rome is at its height. Rome is at its height. And Caesar is very well liked. Just ask more than half of the Romans here. They will tell you they support Caesar and they appreciate him. They love Caesar. Just what he's done, what he's accomplished. He's a man of the future. He is where our nation needs to go. So I advise you all to vote for Caesar and vote for the empire, because you won't be disappointed. In fact, you might think you have less rights, but you are going to have a strong government that protects you, and you will have everything you need, and Caesar will be there to have your back, because he is a mighty warrior, and I support him. So please, support us. Support Caesar and support the empire. Thank you. Second question of the day. How do you feel about conquest? This time, Anthony first, Cassius second. Here we go. Great thing you ask, Mr. Phelps. I think conquest is a very important part of what we are trying to do here in creating an empire. I think it's one of the most important pieces of an empire. When we do have an empire and a monarchy, we need power. Okay, we absolutely need power. We need to show the other nations that we can take them over if we need to. And that's what Caesar has done. Okay, he's taken over lands, plenty of lands. He's defeated Pompey. We know he's the guy to lead this nation and to get more land for us. With more land comes more conquest, comes more support, comes more domination throughout the world. And there's no better way to make our nation stronger than to acquire more land and more support throughout those lands. And I think conquest is a very good thing. It might sound foolish of me to get up in here and say, let's defeat the other nations, but you win with power, and that's what we need. The more power we have, the stronger nation we will be. And I think it's right that we look into conquest. So that's why Rome, empire, monarchy, it's the way to go. If we don't, other nations are going to take over us, and they're going to crumble our nation, and we can't let that happen. So vote for Caesar. In terms of conquest, I believe that we should focus primarily on making Rome stronger. Okay? While it's good to go into other nations and take over nations and go throughout the world and find support and conquest, I think it's more important to concentrate on our government, on ourselves, on our people. And that's what you're going to get with a republic. If you vote for Caesar, he's just going to seize land and continue seizing land. But he's going to come roll down hard with a fist. But a republic, we can take land as we need it, but concentrate on the people who are here. The people who run this beautiful state of Rome. That's where we need our support. If we get everybody to join together and we run a republic, we shall be good. But if we go for Caesar and we run a monarch and an empire, what's going to happen is the same people are going to be in power for years and years and years. It's going to be all about conquest, all about more power. And what we need is a stable government with people in our government who can contribute. And that's why I feel conquest, it's important, but it's not first on my list. We should keep Rome a republic. Thank you. Question number 3. What do you think Rome will look like in 10 years? Cassius first, Anthony second. So you ask, what will Rome look like in 10 years? Well, I think you will see Rome as a very stable government who supports itself and its people, and the people appreciate the land, are well liked, and have a lot of support in it. And I think you will see some conquest on our end, maybe not as much as Mark Antony is proposing, but I think you will see enough conquest that we are a big, stable nation that other nations look up to and won't want to mess around with us. We'll have a strong republic where people will have the say. People will have the say. And when people have the say, honestly, Rome could be as good as we want it to be. If we have one ruler who's ruling Rome, and all he has is one say, if you don't like Rome, it's not going to be a very friendly place. But if you have a republic, as we propose, people will keep Rome as great as they want to keep it. And so, with everybody contributing, Rome will be one of the greatest places on earth. But if we let it become a monarchy and an empire, Rome could take a turn for the worst, and who knows what could happen. We could have people leave Rome because they're not happy with Caesar. It just could happen. It's inevitable. But a republic, we have a say, and we'll keep it good for years and years and years. And that's what we need as people, to have a passion for our nation. And we will, as a group of people in a republic, keep Rome and make it work for us. So that's why I say Rome, republic. So your question asked me about conquest before, and now I'm going to follow that up with how I see Rome in 10 years, which is this question. Well, I see Rome as a much bigger place than it is now because of conquest. I think with our empire that we build up, we're going to take over more lands, and we are going to become a powerful force. I see a lot of nations and a lot of people coming into Rome that we either took over or that they come to our side because we're so powerful. They won't be able to beat us. And I think Rome will be so powerful that we're gonna be good. Now, if we turn into a republic, it's going to be squashed. There's going to be other nations who are going to come and stomp over us, and we won't have that strong ruler to push forward and make Rome the empire it needs to be. So to answer your question, we will be very prosperous, we will be very strong, and we will have a nation like no other. I mean, other nations are going to be jealous because we're going to have so much power, and that's what we get with Caesar. And now, each contestant will get a final statement of 2 minutes. No more. Cassius first, Anthony second. Here we go. Alright, viewers. Picture Rome, a desolate place with vultures flying over and people going hungry, people begging the ruler that we should stop with this conquest and we should worry about our land and what's in it and making people happy. This is the type of Rome you'll get with Caesar. Not a very happy Rome moving forward. We need to keep Rome a place where people can contribute that are in the nation. It shouldn't be all on one man's shoulder. Okay? Because one man, things can go wrong with one man. You can't put all the power on one man and expect Rome to rule. Okay? No matter how popular he is. I know Caesar is very popular. I get that. But he's not going to be very popular for long. And that's what you get with a monarchy. You get somebody who's in power, but over time they become hungry with power, and they think about conquest. They think about running the country to make it bigger and better, but they don't think about the people. And with a republic, you can't go wrong. People will always contribute, will always have a chance, because we'll always be able to make changes, we'll always be able to vote, we'll always be able to get in somebody who we feel should rule the land. You don't get that with a monarchy. And if you want to support a republic, I suggest you do, Because if you don't, we could be stuck in a world of trouble. Please, please, don't let Caesar have all this power. Let's keep Rome a republic. Thank you. Picture Rome, a highly coveted land that many other nations are jealous of. A land that we can brag about, that's prosperous, that has a lot of luxuries for the people who live in there, and a lot of power. This is because of Caesar. This is because of the monarchy. The more power we build, the stronger we become. People might not have a full say in everything, but the monarchy will listen to the people, because if he doesn't, he's going to hear it from the people. Now, Caesar knows what's right for Rome, and he will put us in the right direction. He will make conquests. He'll make us bigger. He'll make us better. We are going to be such a prosperous nation that Rome is going to be coveted by everyone else. And we're going to be so powerful, we could eventually take over the world as an empire. You never really know, but, if you go down to a republic, there's going to be too much on the people. And sometimes, a lot of times, people are weak. Okay? Monarchy, you get one strong family, we get years and years of royalty that knows how to rule a land. When you get a republic, there's too much difference from a monarchy that you don't know who's coming into power, and you don't think about conquest, you don't think about money, you don't think about expansion, you don't think about the things that are necessities, because you're too worried about running it and making people happy. Now, I'm not saying people aren't happy in a monarchy, but I'm just saying with a monarchy, you get power, you get a family who's powerful, and you get expansion, and you get everything that will make your nation a bigger and better place. Please, vote for Caesar. We'll be waiting for your vote. Thank you for tuning in to our Roman debate today. Put your ballots in for who you think wins. Like I said, the winner gets an all-expense, free paid trip to the Gatsby mansion for Renaissance night. It's your job to put in your poll to see who wins this debate. And now, we're going to return to the Mr. Phelps show for a special comparison between three pieces of literature. But before we do that, we got some messages for you, so stay tuned. Thank you.
Shh! Did you hear that? No. What was it? I think I heard a bear. Can you see anything? Anything at all? No. What's that? Do you hear that? Just gotta keep moving. Oh, it's so pretty. It's like the green light from The Great Gatsby. Thank your friendly electricians from Fluorescent Green. We're keeping your dreams alive in the dead of night.
Hello, I am here today to lead you in on a conspiracy theory that we are proving true about Leonardo DiCaprio and the various movies he's been in. We found some similarities between the movies that cannot be denied. We do have this theory of connecting these movies of Leonardo DiCaprio. We know they connect. This theory, it's even been posted. Okay, so where does this come from? Right here. Leonardo DiCaprio starred in Titanic. Okay? He was Jack Dawson in Titanic. He won a ticket to the Titanic. He was a very poor man who was great at betting. Won a ticket on the Titanic. He rode on the Titanic. The Titanic crashed. And as the story goes, he died in the end. He drowned in the water. He had hypothermia. He was not one of the survivors on the lifeboats. He died, and his love, Rose, went off to live life without the man she loved, Jack Dawson, who She was from a different social class. She was from a very rich class. That's how she got the ticket to go on the Titanic. Not so much Jack Dawson. He had to win to get there. You know, kind of like the American dream type of deal. So, he dies. She gets a lifeboat, lives a long life, and she's talking back about this story. We have evidence to believe that Jack Dawson did not die. There's a bunch of theories out there he did not die. Because what happened is he washed ashore of Dan Cody's yacht, and he became Jay Gatsby. Somewhere in between there, he was Jay Gatz, or maybe his name was Jay Gatz overall, and then he became an actor, Leonardo DiCaprio. I don't know. He was on the Titanic, and he supposedly died as Jack Dawson, but he was later found as Jay Gatsby. Now, it's weird. This even fits the timeline, okay? We have Titanic took place in 1912. The Great Gatsby takes place in the Roaring '20s. We see the age gap. If you look at the picture, Jack Dawson is an older kid in his 20s, and then he grows up to be Jay Gatsby. So when he washes ashore Dan Cody's yacht, he learns about how to become a millionaire. Not just lucky this time, he learns about becoming a millionaire, and then he goes off and gets a mansion in West Egg and throws big parties. That's how the story goes. Then the question is, how do you explain Romeo and Juliet, where DiCaprio also starred in? Well, let me take you back. In Romeo and Juliet, DiCaprio was even younger, a year younger than he was in Titanic, okay? Talking 96 versus 1997. It's a little bit more shadier there because we literally see Romeo Montague kill himself at the end of Romeo and Juliet. So why bring up Romeo and Juliet? I know it doesn't fit the timeline of the conspiracy that Jack Dawson is Jay Gatsby, but it's still a very eerily similar movie, and it's not just because Leonardo DiCaprio is in that movie just like the other two movies. Yes, two of these movies are directed by Baz Luhrmann, Romeo and Juliet and The Great Gatsby, but it's even more than just him directing the movies and the fact that Leonardo DiCaprio is the actor that makes them more similar. Alright, let's take a step back. So we have three movies: Titanic, The Great Gatsby, and Romeo and Juliet. Let's look at all the similarities. Alright? Strikingly interesting. 1. Leonardo DiCaprio plays three very similar characters. Okay? Linearly, they're very similar. You have a man who falls in love, something tragic happens, and then he dies and loses his love in the end. Romeo and Juliet, simple. Romeo and Juliet fall in love, their family tears them apart, Romeo ends up killing himself, Juliet kills herself. In the end, they both die. Titanic, Jack Dawson wins a ticket to go on the Titanic, falls in love with Rose, who's of a higher social class, and then when the boat sinks, Jack can't escape, he dies in the ocean, whether you believe that or not, and she escapes and is safe. The Great Gatsby. Gatsby falls in love with Daisy. He has a mansion that he tries to get Daisy. Once Daisy kills Myrtle, Gatsby takes the blame, and he gets killed by Wilson at the end of the movie. Essentially breaking up the relationship that never was, but breaking it up. And so you see all three characters die in the end. All three characters are involved in love. And they have very similar character traits if you think about it. Very similar character traits. They're all involved in chasing a girl. They're all pretty level-headed characters. And they all have the same fate. So that's really how they're all connected. And it's strikingly even more significant how an American dream kind of enters both of them, at least two of them. But if you stretch the American dream idea into Romeo and Juliet, it can be there too. So the American dream in Romeo and Juliet, if you stretch it to be, is that they fall in love. Their love is the dream that they want, that their family won't let them have. In The Great Gatsby, it's all about the American dream, where Gatsby ends up dying, but his dream is to fall in love with Daisy, but he is also an emblem of the American dream with going from rags to riches. And Jack Dawson is on the ship of dreams, Titanic, American dream. He gets a ticket, goes on the Titanic, American dream. They all show a failure of the American dream where things fall apart in the end. So it's very interesting to compare these movies together. Another important point, too, and this doesn't really apply to Romeo and Juliet, but it will apply to The Great Gatsby and Titanic. Jack Dawson and Jay Gatsby are similar in that they're kind of involved in a more shady type of character. Okay? I won't say they're both thieves, but they kind of are. I mean, Jack Dawson, rags to riches. He's a gambler. He got the tickets. He won them in a gamble. Whereas Jay Gatsby was a bootlegger. He got all his money from bootlegging. So, very similar scenario there. More than you would think. But if you really think about it, the Titanic is a story of The Great Gatsby. They're virtually the same story, with different characters, different scenarios, and both with Leonardo DiCaprio. And then you tie in Romeo and Juliet, which slightly different, but if you think about it, Romeo and Juliet is also Titanic. It's basically the same story, where you have Romeo fall in love with Juliet, they love each other, and then tragedy takes their love away. So, I just thought it would be cool to compare the three. Conspiracy theory or not, they're kind of related. Gets you thinking. Alright? And whether you think that Leonardo DiCaprio started his career in Romeo and Juliet, and rather than dying, he was still alive, and then became Jack Dawson and rode across the Titanic, got swept ashore, became Jay Gatsby, and owned a mansion before he was killed. You can believe it was the same character in three stories that happens over and over and over again, almost like a Groundhog Day. Or you can believe them as separate stories that kind of symbolize the same idea. However you so choose, just keep in mind, there's a lot of similarities between them, and it's interesting to look at those stories. Just thought I'd share that. Conspiracy theory or not, we don't know, but makes it interesting, doesn't it? I certainly think so. Hello all, I want to thank you for tuning in to episode 4 of the Mr. Phelps Show. Thank you for all the wonderful support. I hope you enjoyed today's show. Next week, I'm planning, we'll have to see, I'm planning to have an interview with Julius Caesar himself to see how he's doing. I've been waiting for this moment. I just got to make sure I can get him down to the Senate House after all those bad omens and everything, make sure he can get away from those bad omens, and it's a good day that I can get him down to the Senate House before the Ides of March, of course. So I'm hoping to have him down here and can interview him. But until then, enjoy the week. Have a great time. Thank you for tuning in to the Mr. Phelps Show. Really appreciate your company. Thank you. Thank you. Really appreciate it. Thank you all. Thank you all. Thank you.